Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It remains standing for a moment of silence for Jim Zurich, who was the school solicitor for 6 years, who passed away on May 25th, 2022.
You may be seated.
Roll call.
President Mrs. Hovenstein.
Here.
Vice President Mr. Kashner.
Here.
Secretary Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Treasurer Mr. Griffiths.
Here.
Mrs. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Starting with the next one. Mrs. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Persing.
Here.
Mr. Shuey.
Here.
Mrs. Smojan.
Here.
Mr. Sosnowski.
Here.
Student recognition. Mr. Hockenbach, we have some students in attendance here tonight.
So there won't be any students in the month until the school year begins. So tonight, I want to welcome and honor our first ever Lady Indian softball team who won a PIAA district championship, led by head coach Jared Petrovich over there. Jared, will you introduce your team? You have something to say about them?
First off, thanks guys for recognizing our group of girls. Obviously not everyone can make it tonight between work, other softball games, and other commitments, but we really appreciate the offer, and thanks for having us today. So today with us we have Nina Wilk, Sam Stankiewicz, Autumn Kaler, Emma Kurtz, Kennedy Petrovich, Cadence Barnes, Brooke Sebasovich, and Annie Hornberger. So I would also like to thank, after our district championship game, we were able to get fire truck rides. So big thanks to the fire department's EMS for making a very special night for us and very memorable for all the girls. It was great. It couldn't have ended in a better way. So this season, obviously, we wanted to create a higher goal and standard than last season. We just came short of the district championship with a young team. This year, we wanted to make sure that our kids were going as hard as they could, but at the same time having as much fun as they could together as a group, not as individuals. Obviously, we were successful in doing that, and it worked out. I'm very proud of where we've come from and where we've gotten to, and our biggest motto is to keep moving forward. So next year, we plan to be back in that same situation, and we're going to set our goals a little higher. So thank you to everyone that has given and shown us support throughout the entire season, in the off season, for all the gym time, for everyone coming to the game, watching us on TV, tuning in on Game Changer, the parents, the players, especially big thanks to our coaching staff, Rick Kashner, Jimmy Campbell, Scott Long, and Andrea. Also, Katie Scheiko was our booster president. She did awesome this year for us. So thank you again for having us. We appreciate it, and hopefully we can do it again next year. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, just I also think one of the players here, Jared, had a signing recently, so I think we should just mention that. Annie Hornberger, if you just want to mention about that, Jared.
Yeah, so a unique situation came up in our Tunkhannock game, the first state game that we played. The head coach from Kutztown was in attendance, and she picked the perfect game to come to. Obviously, Annie was a force for us all season, but it was nice that somebody important as important as the head coach for Kutztown could show up and watch her. It was almost an immediate offer that she received, and Annie was recently down there, signed some papers, and yeah, she's going to play at a very good college and hopefully receive a degree from a really good school.
Yep.
So,
Congrats,
congrats, Annie.
Okay, thanks. Anything else?
High school.
Sure.
Okay. I just want to say I had a unique opportunity of coaching Jared for 1 year in wrestling, and it's awesome to have him back. And Jared, thank you for continuing to do what you do. We appreciate that, so thank you. Just real quick high school update here. We started Indian Camp, which is our summer school. We got about 30 kids that are virtual, about 80 students in the building. Just a reminder to cyber school students out there and parents listening, you have to have your work done by July 8th. And also a reminder, there is no school July 5th. That's a week after, or the day after the 4th. Making sure to realize Tuesday through Friday is summer school then. The elementary is using the first floor. We're using the second floor. We have programs such as ESY and STEAM also in the building. The staff's working hard like always to get the building ready. Office staff, we're about halfway through summer school, so we're finishing that up and preparing for starting next school year. They've been working hard, learning the new SIS program that's coming in. It'll be a challenge to everybody, but it's going to be better. Our loss of learning staff's in the building going through data to improve last year's ideas. We're going to focus a little bit more on social and emotional issues along with math, reading, and science. A quick reminder back to July 4th, just a reminder to our community members, please keep fireworks off our school grounds. We take pride in our fields and the facilities, and we don't like to have to clean that stuff up, so we will be monitoring it closely. I want to apologize to everybody for scheduling. We are a little behind with getting them out. They are finished. We just want to make sure everything is covered before we get them out to you. So they will be out shortly with information when that will be. Back to school night is set for August 18th, and I'll post more information for that when the time comes. And I just want to, I haven't been here the last 2 meetings, so I just want to thank everybody for another successful year. We look forward to another one.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Hockenbrook? Thank you, Mr. Hockenbrook. Mr. Carnuccio?
Just to wrap up some of the end of year stuff, we actually held our school carnival on May 20th, Friday. This year we were fortunate to have the activities back, like our bounce houses, our petting zoos. We had field activities. The kids got free Italian ice. They got water ice, potato chips. A great event. Just the smiles on the kids' faces. I mean, I said to our staff at the end of the year, I hope we can grow on it, build on it. I know it costs money and it takes time to do. We have great staff that puts a lot of time in the carnival staff committee, but it was a great event, and I hope we just can keep building on it for next year for the kids. Tuesday, May 24th, we also held a kindergarten graduation. It was the first time in 3 years we held it in the auditorium, and you'd be shocked and surprised that I've done high school graduation for 11 years, and I've done kindergarten now for 3, not counting. I think the kindergarten graduation is more attended than the actual high school graduation. And but it was great. The kids smile. Mrs. Carney, our music director of the elementary, does an awesome job getting it together and organizing it. Our kindergarten teachers do a great job with the kids that night, and it just everyone involved. Just a great night for kids, parents, smiles, and pictures. It was good to see. Not having it for 3 years. Field trips went very well. We're quick to mention all the negatives, and people point out the negative stuff. But I got to mention, we sent our kindergarten through 2nd grade this year, or kindergarten and 1st grade, I'm sorry, to T&D Cats in Mifflinburg. And our 4th grade goes to the Winnegar Center down in Harrisburg. And both of those organizations reached out to us personally and wanted to let us know how well behaved and polite our students were. We have a lot of great kids, and a lot of times they get overlooked. But I just want to point it out because we do hear a lot of negatives, and I just want to make sure that our kids get the recognition they deserve. So we have a lot of great kids. Summer school, to piggyback Ms. Hockbach, our summer school started the same day, Monday, June 13th. We have about 40 to 45 kids in summer school right now, kindergarten through 6th grade, and it's going well, very well attended. Just some orientation dates to throw out there for everybody, because we're getting some phone calls. Our pre-K orientation will be Monday, August 8th at 10 a.m. up at the Career and Technology Center. Kindergarten orientation will be Thursday, August 11th at 5:30 p.m. in the elementary cafeteria. And we'll have more information as it gets some stuff, meet with them, me or Mr. Kiefer, meet with them personally during that week. Meet the teacher nights, great. Well, actually, it's gonna be Tuesday, August 16th, and Wednesday, August 17th. The 16th, that Tuesday, first grade will be at 5:30, third grade will be at 6:15, and fifth grade will be at 7 o'clock. And then Wednesday, August 17th, second grade will be at 5:30, fourth grade will be at 6:15, and then sixth grade will be at 7 o'clock. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Carnuccio? Thank you, Tony. Okay. So we're at citizens' comments.
Okay, we're going to move on, citizens' comments.
Hi, Trudy Kurtz. I know that I spoke to some board members already, and I was told when I walked in that this was changing, but I'm sure you all have heard the class rank catastrophe that, as a child of someone that graduated this year, I thought it was a huge injustice to some of our kids, the way that things were weighted for class rank. And I was told today that you guys did change it. So my question is, when do the rest of us find out what it was changed to so that we could help our kids?
So we did talk about it this evening, and the plan is to update our program of studies book which has already been approved for this school year, but we're going to update it for next year's program of study, and that will affect beginning with the incoming sophomore class. So that would be actually Susie's grade.
So, okay,
So, and that information will be available when we adopt the programs of studies booklet, which typically is no later than February, but probably January, December. But it will go back to the way it was.
okay, so the kids that are like juniors and seniors, it's gonna affect them too, or no?
Because they're already in the system,
Okay,
and under the premise that the current system, which you're not happy about, is the system. So some of those students have planned out their course of action based on the current system. We feel if we changed it back,
okay,
those kids could be negatively impacted because maybe they changed their direction on course selections based on the current policy. But the big thing with the policy is the amount of courses you could take to count towards your class rank.
Right.
Which is 38. It used to be 32. And the way you get to 38 versus the 32 is through taking courses in the evening at the colleges, which sophomores can't do. So that's why we're going to implement it starting with the incoming sophomore class.
okay. So here's one more question that I had.
Yep.
So I know that you, as juniors, you could take one in the spring, one in the fall. As seniors, you could take 2 and 2.
Correct.
Okay, so my question is, because someone told me this, and I just want to make sure, because I know I had other kids at, whatever. So when you're a senior, if you take 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, do they both count, or do only one count for each one? Like one in the spring, one in the fall?
The rule, well, for the current system or the new system?
For the kids that are juniors and seniors coming into this year?
Each of those classes will count as a full credit. So that would be 4, if they took 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, that's 4 what we call credits.
Okay,
So let's just play this out. Those students took 8 classes during the school day for all 4 years of their high school career. That would be 32 credits. They can get up to 38 by doing Luzerne their junior year, fall and spring. So that would take them from 32 to 33, 34.
okay,
And then 2 in their fall of their senior year takes them to 36, and 2 of the fall of their spring of their
spring,
senior year
okay.
takes them to 38.
That's what I wanted to clarify, because somebody told me it was 1 and 1 their senior year, and I just
No,
wanted to make sure
it's
it's
1 and 1
right.
junior year, 2 and 2 senior year.
Okay,
Currently. After that, you could still continue to do that, but you can only get 32 credits to count towards your class rank when we go back to the old system.
right,
And the 32 credits that you count, you have to count the Shamokin area courses first.
first,
Then you can start counting the college classes.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep,
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tammy Rhodes. So I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to see my Facebook post because I obviously was messaged about it. But so maybe you had some time to come up with some answers to the questions that I asked. And the first one was, who's doing the brickwork out front?
Okay, the brickwork is gonna be done by Persing Masonry. The monies for that are coming from one of the classes, I'm not sure if it was last year's senior class, class of 2022.
I was told they didn't have enough money.
Right,
the Persing Masonry is doing the work at no profit. It's only to pay the laborers. If we were to go out and have someone else do it, we would be talking about several thousand more dollars than what it's gonna cost. So
Did you get bids to compare
we
to?
didn't have to get bids,
No.
no. It was under the threshold.
Isn't that a conflict of interest considering what's happened here in the past with school board members
No,
being?
according to legal counsel, it's not a conflict of interest, and he's not making a profit as a business. So it's just to pay for, as a matter of fact, I think they're even buying the mortar. It's just gonna be the labor of the bricklayers and the mixer, however that works. But there's not gonna be a profit to it. Actually, we're ahead of the game, as opposed to going out and getting somebody else to do it.
Okay. Any word on getting money back from the PIAA lawyer fees that were spent? I know I got a generic response to my initial that it was only $11,000, but that's still $11,000 of taxpayers' money that was spent on PIAA stuff.
Right, that money didn't go to PIAA lawyers. That money had to do with paying an attorney that was hired by our district to represent us, to handle the requests that were given in a right to know regarding PIAA emails between, I guess, anybody here, maybe the former superintendent more specifically, and him doing PIAA work during work time. That's what the right to know was. But there was also right to knows about coaches messaging students, which was not just unique to our district. That was something that was sent out to, I believe, 9 different districts, prompted by something that had occurred in a different district with a coach and a student. To protect the privacy of students, potentially, or the coaches, or the staff, we hire legal counsel to make sure that what we're doing falls within the parameters in which we can do it.
We have a solicitor. Why do we hire different?
Well, our solicitor was also part of those legal bills, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, and it wasn't a PIAA attorney. So there would be no money to recoup from PIAA regarding that. It was more to
But
protect.
it was all based on PIAA happenings. I mean, it had
Not
nothing.
100%, like some of it was with, like I said, coaches and students. I don't know if you remember. There was,
Oh, I remember very clearly.
But it was, oh, yeah, actually, yeah, you would.
I was a coach.
That, I don't think really had anything to do with our district per se. I think it was a district, but it was a blanket right to know request sent to 9 different districts. So some of that was PIAA, some of that was a request that went out with students and coaches, which you know you were part of it. So there's really no money to recoup from PIAA. We didn't pay PIAA attorneys.
I'll agree to disagree with you on that, as
Okay.
well as some other things. I hear we now have the $10,000 weight room monitor position. That was always the job of coaches. Why, if we're in a financial deficit, are we creating a weight room monitor job?
Well, about 10 years ago, we did have weight room monitors that were paid. I believe that was through a PEP grant, which is when.
Through a grant, yes.
We've had a lot of kids in the weight room. We've had issues with coverage and consistency in the weight room. So there's money in the budget, if it passes tonight, to pay $10,000 to monitors, okay? We have 4 applicants for that. That was it. Those applicants.
Was it posted?
It was, yes. Those applicants are also going to be trained by Rob Oshinsky from Victory Sports on proper lifting techniques. So it won't just be, I'll just use football as an example. It won't just be football coaches working with football kids. It will be monitors in there who are going to be trained in how to do proper lifting techniques for all sports. And they're going to split the time up throughout the year. So the 4 applicants will divvy up the $10,000 over a 12-month period. And I think in the summer, I think there's going to be 2 sessions of time, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then during the school year, there's going to be a time from after school to,
Are we gonna keep track of the people that are doing it and how often they're spending their time in there, so it's
Yep.
not continually the same person over and over
No,
again?
my understanding is it'll probably be divvied up pretty equally. That's, Mr. Kashner was charged with doing that. So that is the plan, to balance it out equally. And all 4 individuals do coach sports in the district. So it will work out where some of them won't be able to be as available during their sports season, and others can pick up the slack then and vice versa. So that's the plan.
It just seems silly because we've always had the coaches do that, and Now we're creating a position that costs money when for all this time, coaches were undercut on salaries and we're posting in the news item that we're on a $5 million cliff. Like, doesn't seem right.
Not all of them were working in the weight room, though. Not all of them were in the weight room in every sport. So
Well,
this will give an opportunity for, I'll just use girls soccer could go in the weight room in the wintertime when it's not their season, and there will be someone in there who's not going to be a certain sport coach that's just going to be in there for that sport. This is going to be someone who's going to be trained on proper lifting techniques and probably work with Rob to get some workouts that's universal or sport specific. So those, I'll just use girls soccer, can get a workout from the person in there, and that person then will be able to help them do their lifts and stuff like that. So it just won't be, I'm going to use football, but I'm not saying it's football, but it's not going to be a football player in there or football coach in there. Well, I'm not working with you because I'm the football coach and I got to be responsible for my 20 kids in here. So that's what the plan is. And it'll be divvied up pretty evenly.
Is the metal and the copper being cashed in that were taken out of the building?
Yeah, actually, the boilers have
was-
been taken out. We have 2 dumpsters on site. Stone Road, I think, is the company that has the dumpsters. We've been taking out, putting in the dumpsters. They've been hauling it, and I think we got a check already for some of it. So that's,
Because I was told that wasn't happening. That's why I wanted to ask about
Yeah.
that.
that.
'Cause that's
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
who
scrap
mentioned that.
is up right
Yeah,
now. It's
it
very
could be.
expensive.
Yep, so.
And the $10,000 for this and the $11,000 for this and I feel like that $10,000, it's only $10,000 kind of got us into the situation that we're in. And that mentality needs to stop. Like, we
Yeah,
need to nickel and dime and fill the hole,
Yeah.
not chip away
I
at it.
think one of the things too is just to piggyback off of the recycling is not only are we recycling the items, we're taking parts off of some of the stuff that we're getting rid of to use for parts for some of the stuff that we're keeping. Example, some of the boilers that we're getting rid of, we're getting some of the parts off of them to have spare parts for the boilers that we're keeping. So we're trying to be real smart about it.
Okay, and then my last thing was sending a spouse to do security detail at the elementary school.
Yep, that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Hovenstein asked her husband to come out and check doors.
Why?
At the elementary school. It was.
Don't we have a security board?
It was a couple days after the tragedy. And obviously, if the school board member came out, people would know who she is or he is. And by having somebody else come out, it was more random and people that didn't know. And it was
So if I
just-
send somebody into your bank with a ski mask on and tell them to pretend to rob it, that's gonna
Well,
be
I
okay?
would
You can
say
have a
this-
ski
that's-
mask on, number one.
But nobody knew who he was.
Doesn't
And
matter,
from
that
what
was
I
the
was
point.
told, that teachers and students were terrified and crying.
Okay, yeah.
I don't
The
believe that
point
to be the
was,
case.
right, and that's not the case, number one, and number two.
Today,
we
when I
should-
put this Facebook post on, I had about 18 phone calls from people at work.
Yeah.
Well, you know that. You're the Facebook warrior.
I guess what we should do is
Yep.
did I answer your question? I mean,
Well, from my standpoint, you were voted into this seat to be a school board director, and your spouse has nothing to do with the school. He does not have clearances. That is not his job.
Neither do I, neither does any of these school board members
But
have
the,
clearances.
but the security board, if you feel that there's a breach in your security board was trained, my husband being one of them, sent 2 classes to learn.
And that's my choice. I have a right, if I want to go out there and check to see how many
You
doors
didn't
are
go.
open, I can send somebody, because guess what? They're gonna know who I am.
You know what
And
I
my
told the
point
girl
was
who
to
was
know-
scared? Call the cops, because he could be
Fine, that
arrested
would've
for
been fine.
trespassing,
That would've been
regardless
fine.
if President Melissa says not to.
That would have been fine.
Yeah, and that would be fine, and that's what I would recommend.
we're not going to argue here to public, okay?
Well,
I'm trying to answer
unfortunately, Mr. Venna, a lot of people agree with me and ask me to please say these things.
I'm just saying. I
So
tried to answer your
I'm
question.
speaking on behalf of the taxpayers whose taxes just got raised to cover this nonsense. So that's where this is coming from. I have every right to come out here and say anything that I want to say. And when you sat in that seat, you sat there to hear what I have to say. And if you don't like it, get out of the seat.
You know what, Tammy? We've been very nice to you. No,
You don't have to.
you know
You
what?
don't have
But
to be nice
listen,
to
This
me.
is public comment. We don't have to answer any of your questions when you come
Okay.
here. So just going forward, you're not going to get an answer to anything. So you can come up
Well,
here
this
and
is a
say what
first
you want.
anyway, because normally I don't get an
Okay,
answer.
well, guess what? Going forward, you're done.
Okay, yeah, I'll get up and ask the questions, though.
All right, you can ask what you want.
I will.
Why don't you run for the board? Oh, that's right, you lost.
No, I had write-in votes, almost 800, which is pretty,
It's
in
easy
3
to
weeks'
sit out
time
there
was
and
pretty,
criticize. When you're sitting on this, in these chairs, it's a lot different.
oh, is it? Well, how about this? You sit in the chair and you vote for what you really believe in and not what
Well,
the
that's-
person
that's
next to you
what we
wants
do.
you to
We
vote
do,
for.
I think. We vote for
No,
what
you
we
don't. You vote together. You have a team. I was already told, don't even go into one of those chairs unless you have a team member, because your vote means
Okay, we're gonna
nothing.
move on here.
Thank you.
One of your
Let's see.
Facebook friends told you that, I guess.
Yeah, one of my Facebook friends, you know them.
You live on.
How about correspondence?
Okay, I do have some correspondence here. It's actually a follow-up from some correspondence that I got last month from Larry DeKlinsky. This is from Lisa and Brett Firing. It says, "Dear Mr. Venner and Shamokin Area School Board, hello, my name is Lisa Firing. I'm a 1994 graduate of Shamokin Area High School, a 23-year employee of Shamokin Area School District, and also the co-owner of Palmer's Diner, as we all know, in Cole Township." So she says, please accept this donation to help with the costs of the revitalization of the Tim Kern Memorial, which is located outside the high school auditorium entrance. Timothy's mother, Wendy, has been a longtime loyal employee of Palmer's Diner. This is to accompany the previous donation made last month by Larry DeKlinsky in reference to the car accident on April 20th, 1999, that tragically claimed the lives of Shamokin area students Timothy and Krista Kern. Sincerely, Lisa Firing and Brett Firing. So I just want to thank Lisa and Brett for their generosity, and also once again thank Larry for getting the ball rolling with that. So thank you, Larry, and thank you, Lisa and Brett, for your kindness. And Mr. Petrovich is here, so I'll be sending this your way. Okay.
Anything
Good,
else on-
that's all I got.
Okay. Gonna move into some old business. I need a motion to approve item number 501.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion to approve item number 502. On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to approve item number 503.
Motion. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Kashner. Yes. Mrs. Miller. Yes. Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
Mrs. Smugin.
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes. Okay, move on to some new business. Need a motion to approve item number 601.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
On, those opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion to approve item number 602.
Motion. Motion.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion to approve item 603.
Motion. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Miller. Yes. Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
Mrs. Smugin.
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
No. Like I said last month, I just can't see raising taxes for $89,000 when, and I'll address Mr. Gordon at the end of the meeting, because his arms seem to be pretty long to be patting himself in the back for giving us what was rightfully ours to begin with.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Kashner.
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item 604.
Motion. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
Mrs. Smugin.
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Kashner.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller. Yes.
I need a motion to approve item 605.
So moved.
Question.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve item 606.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item 607.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Need a motion to approve item 608.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey? Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Need a motion to approve item 609.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Need a motion to approve item 610.
So moved. Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Let's have it. I need a motion to approve item 611.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion to approve item 612.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
I need a motion to approve item 613.
Motion.
Second.
On the question,
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
I'm voting yes, but only because the people ratified the contract.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
yes. I need a motion to approve item 614.
Motion. Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Let's have it. Need a motion to approve item 615.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve item 616.
Motion. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Persing?
Yes.
Mr. Shuey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smoogen?
Yes.
Mr. Sisnowski?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kashner?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve item 617.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion to approve and/or disapprove item 618.
Motion. Motion. Second. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
Mrs. Smugin.
Yes.
Mr. Sisneski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Kashner.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Need a motion to approve item 619.
Motion. Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mrs. Smugin.
Yes.
Mr. Sisneski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Kashner.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve item number 620.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Have it. Okay, move on to personnel.
A couple changes on personnel. At the beginning, it should be 701 to 721, not 720. Just a little typo there. Also, on 713, the dollar amount should be 63,820. And on 717, the fill in the blank should be with a 3.
Okay, so, let's see, I need a motion to approve all items 701 through 721.
Motion.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Sisneski.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Mrs. Hovenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Kashner.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes, except for 7:15 with the weight coach and 7:17 with the 3%. I believe it should be a straight amount across the board.
Wait, 715. Did you say 715?
7:15, just the,
It's all
yes,
the
but
okay.
it's just the
Okay.
one.
Yeah, it's the whole.
Okay. Mr. Persing.
Yes.
Mr. Shuey.
Yes.
Mrs. Smugin.
I'll accept 715 for the weight coach. I don't know why some people just can't volunteer their time, since some of them are coaches. And 717, I just feel that they should all get the same raise and not get a percentage for the non-classified employees.
That's everybody. Okay. Board member reports. Do you have anything?
I do. Last month, I made a statement about, and firstly, I want to apologize to Senator Gordner for hurting his feelings. I didn't know he was so thin-skinned. Plus, I guess he's really paying attention to our meeting, so that's a good thing, I guess. You know, he has, and I get a kick out of this. I guess this is supposed to be good for us, the way he puts it. In fact, he says, Shamokin, out of 500 school districts, we're in the top 10 in getting funding. Well, guess what, John? We don't want to be in the top 10 of getting your funding. We'd like to fund ourselves. The other thing, he went on to say, like, he got us this extra funding. Like, we got $200,000 more dollars. Like, Senator Gordner went down on the Senate floor and said, hey, let's give Shamokin $200,000 extra dollars. And I'm sure they all said, that's a good idea, John. We'll give them and give them their money. The other thing, if he wants to do something for us, maybe he should look at, instead of cutting the corporate taxes, maybe you should look at real estate relief for this area. Like maybe increase the sales tax where everybody pays instead of the real homeowner getting hammered all the time. Maybe you should look into that, take the lead on that. The other thing with funding, okay, unfunded mandates, and this was in Karen's report, unfunded mandates and cyber school cost us in the last couple of years, what, Karen, $13 million? 13 million. So where are we gonna make that up? You know, maybe you should take a lead on that bill that's languishing down in Harrisburg, that if you go to cyber school, you treat it like a private school and you pay for it yourself. But just this week, it seems like Mr. Gordon, there was a bill, a resolution, number 1, that would bar the Department of Education from implementing new regulations on charter schools previously approved by an independent regulatory review. Guess what he voted on that? Yes. So that means we're not gonna we might as well just piss in the wind because he's not gonna do anything for us. Car zones. Okay? They're all big on car zones. We had a guy here, what, 2 years ago for the car zones? Why don't you push for this, Senator Gordon? Maybe make it, you stay here 20 years, and then the first 10 years you pay your taxes, and then the second 10, you don't pay any taxes. That way we'll get 20 years out of jobs. We had that guy come here, put on his spiel. I voted no for it because I think it's a gimmick. Asked the guy, well, what projects are going? He was supposed to get back to me. Anybody hear anything from him? So there's, what, 2 years that car zones are just wasting our time. So maybe you want to step up there and help this area, John. How about the tax, gas tax? His party's been in the majority for a number of years now. Why don't he step up and maybe help us out with the gas tax? That would go a long way in helping this district. Now that gas prices are up, we're paying more for busing. If we're going to be paying for private schools like cyber school, I'd rather send my money to Lourdes or Meadowview has Shamokin kids in it, rather than a cyber school that maybe Philadelphia's making out on. If we're going to be forced to pay for private schools, I think that might be a good idea. Maybe you could step up there. Our district's probably, what, the second biggest employer in the area, next to Geisinger. I mean, people in this area have a lot to lose. This school, something happens to this school. I mean, people depend on this school. Maybe if he'd step up and do some of these things, maybe I'll be patting him on the back and he won't have to pat himself on the back. That's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, I'll go next, I guess. So, I just wanted to, say, I attended the Memorial Day service downtown at the Bell, and it was great to see the school represented. Mr. Steyer had the band kids there, did a great performance. So, just wanted to commend them on that because, school is over. They didn't have to be there, but they were there, and there was a lot of our students are playing for the service. And then, tonight, in executive session, we got a school safety and security report, and Tony Carnuccio presented it to us, and I just want to commend Tony on that, because it's a lot of work. It was a lot of work. A lot of things happen behind the scenes that we really don't see to keep our kids in our school safe, so thank you, Tony, for that.
Anything else? Anybody else? The only other thing too, we've been just trying to give updates on the project. So obviously our project's underway. Dave's been doing a fantastic job keeping everybody up to date on everything that's going on. So, as you can see, as you come around, things have looked a lot cleaner up here. Obviously there's a lot of construction going on, but everything is on track to be completed by the beginning of the school year. So, great work, Dave and his crew, on keeping everybody on point for that and making sure that we are, getting that work done. So all I have on that. Anybody else? Okay. So, executive session was held for personnel issues, June 21st, from 5 to 7:29. Citizens' comments only if after the agenda, nothing else. I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion.